could tell someone was using my shower while I was at work. By Madeline Crosby. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Portland, Oregon. I moved here from Ohio for a job at a design firm, and while it's not the flashiest neighborhood, it's quiet and just 5 blocks from my office. Everything was going fine for the first 3 months. I got into a routine: wake up, shower, walk to work, come home, cook, maybe watch a show or two, then sleep. Felt normal, finally adult. Until the middle of February. Started small. One Thursday evening, I noticed the shampoo bottle was slightly tilted, like it had been moved. It was a minor thing, and I chalked it up to my own forgetfulness. But then it happened again the next day. The cap wasn't closed all the way. The bath mat was just barely damp. I told myself I was imagining things, but then the weirdness escalated. One Monday, I came home early from work because I had a migraine. It was around 1:30 p.m. As soon as I walked in, I felt it. The air was humid, the kind of sticky air that only comes after a hot shower. My heart started pounding. The bathroom door was closed. I approached it slowly, unsure what to expect. When I opened it, the mirror was still fogged up. The floor was wet. There were droplets on the shower curtain. I called the police immediately. They arrived within 10 minutes, searched the apartment top to bottom, but found no signs of forced entry. They told me to keep my doors locked and maybe invest in a camera. So I did. I bought a Wise Cam and placed it discreetly in the living room, angled to catch anyone entering from the front door. For a week, nothing. I checked the footage every day. But then, the next Tuesday, while I was at work, I got a motion alert. I opened the live feed and froze. A man, tall, white, maybe in his 30s, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans, casually walked in through the front door at 2:14 p.m. He had a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He walked straight into my bathroom, like he'd done it 100 times. I called 911 immediately, gave them my address, and told them he was inside my apartment right then. By the time I got home, he was gone. The cops said they missed him by minutes. The camera had caught him leaving at 2:36 p.m., but what really messed with me was how calm he looked. Like he belonged there. The next day, I gave the footage to the police and called my landlord. Turns out, the previous tenant had never returned one of the keys, and the locks hadn't been changed. The man on the video, no one recognized him. I changed the locks that night and stayed at a friend's place across town in Beaverton. But I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that duffel bag. What was in it? Why the shower? Was he watching me? On Friday, I had a locksmith inspect the apartment. He found something I hadn't noticed. The small attic crawl space above the hallway closet had scratch marks around the edges, like someone had been opening it from the inside. I didn't have the nerve to look. I left. I haven't been back since. I broke my lease and moved in with my sister in Salem. I still check behind every shower curtain. I still keep cameras in every room. I still have nightmares of someone quietly walking through my home, using my things, knowing I wouldn't be back until 5. And I never shower without locking the bathroom door. The Man Who Watched Me from the Train Platform for 6 Months, by Lauren Fields, New York. Every weekday for the last 6 months, I took the 7:42 a.m. Metro-North train from Yonkers to Grand Central. I worked at a publishing office in Midtown Manhattan, and my mornings were always the same. Grab a coffee from the corner cart, walk 2 blocks to the station, and stand near the third column on the platform where the second car usually stopped. It was routine, predictable, comforting in its own way. I first noticed him in October. He stood on the opposite platform, the one for outbound trains. I wouldn't have paid him any attention, except he wasn't dressed like a commuter. He wore the same black windbreaker and faded baseball cap every single day, and he never seemed to be waiting for a train. He just stood there, hands in pockets, staring straight at me. At first, I assumed it was coincidence. People wait on platforms all the time. Maybe he worked nights, maybe he was waiting for someone. But over the weeks, I started to notice patterns. He never moved, never checked his watch, never looked at his phone, always just watching. At first, I tried not to let it get to me. New York is full of odd people, but this was different. He wasn't weird. He was calculated. By November, it became a quiet dread. I'd step onto the platform and my eyes would dart across to see if he was there. And he always was. Rain, wind, cold. Standing in the exact same spot. 2 feet left of the trash can. Hands in his pockets, head slightly tilted. And it wasn't just my imagination. I tested it. I would switch my spot, stand near the first car or the fourth. Each time, his eyes would follow. In December, I told my friend Marissa about him. She laughed at first, teased me about having a secret admirer. But after I showed her the spot he always stood in and described his clothes, her expression changed. "That's not a commuter," she said. "That's someone who has nothing else to do but watch." Christmas came and went. I spent the holidays back in Ohio with family, trying to shake the feeling of being watched. But even being away didn't help. I kept checking my phone, expecting a notification from my building's camera or a strange text. Nothing, but the relief didn't last. As soon as I got back to Yonkers, there he was again, like he had been waiting the whole time. One night in January, I came home to find a sticky note on my apartment door. No words, just a faint smudge, like a fingerprint. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe it was a mistake. But then the next night there was another, different color, same placement. I lived in a secured building with a buzzer. Nobody should have been able to get that close. I brought it up with my landlord and building security. They checked the footage but found nothing. That same week, I thought I saw him following me. It was after work, already dark, and I was walking back from the grocery store. Someone in a black hoodie kept pace with me a half block behind. When I turned around, he stopped walking and crossed the street. I ducked into a bodega and waited for 20 minutes. When I came back out, he was gone. By February, I was on edge all the time. My coworkers noticed. I stopped sleeping well. I started locking all 3 locks on my door, pushing a chair up under the knob. I bought pepper spray and started walking with my keys between my fingers. Still, every morning, there he was on that platform, unmoving, watching. One morning, I decided to act. Marissa came with me and stood near the staircase with her phone camera ready. I texted her as soon as I saw him. She turned and snapped a picture quickly before he noticed. Later, we looked at it together. He wasn't just watching. He was smiling. A slow, thin smile that made my skin crawl. It wasn't joy. It was ownership. We took the photo to the police. They listened but told me unless he physically threatened me, they couldn't do much. They advised me to vary my routine, be aware of my surroundings, and consider moving if I felt unsafe. So I changed my schedule. I started taking the earlier train and stood in different places. For a while, I thought it worked. I didn't see him again for 2 weeks. I felt lighter. I even laughed again. Then one Friday morning, while walking to the station, I saw him, but not on the platform. He was standing across the street from my building. My heart stopped. He didn't move, didn't smile, just stared. I ran back inside and locked the door. I called the police. By the time they arrived, he was gone. That day, I worked from home and kept every curtain closed. The next morning, I had enough. I went to stay with Marissa. We searched online forums, Reddit threads, even local news archives to see if anyone had reported a man matching his description. Nothing. Not one report. It was like he only existed to me. A week later, Marissa found a small slip of paper tucked under her windshield wiper. No writing, just a smiley face drawn in pencil. We didn't speak for a full minute. Then she looked up at me and said, "He knows I helped you." That night, I called my parents and told them everything. They offered to help me break my lease and come back to Ohio. I hesitated, felt like admitting defeat. But what was I staying for? A job? An apartment? Routine? I left Yonkers in March, moved back home, changed my number, deleted all social media. I got a remote job and have barely left the house since. To this day, I have no idea who he was, what he wanted, or how long he had really been watching. But every so often, when I close the blinds at night, I check twice. I wait to see if there's a figure across the street, still, smiling, waiting, and I pray that there never will be.